Well, why Royal Marine? Baitworks already had two fantastic, very well established boilies in the Atlantic Heat and the Monster Red. However, Mark and I were both acutely aware that there were other ingredients that during tank tests had individually really triggered strong feeding reactions, mainly based around crustacean meals. So we played around with a few combinations and Mark worked some of his magic and came up with a formulation that when we tank tested it proved absolutely devastating, and that was basically the birth of the Royal Marine. And what's more, not only did the fish really like it, but the natural food also really liked it. When we crumbed it up and put it into the margins of lakes, it was clear that snails loved it, shrimps loved it, ocellas loved it, and often all this natural food would come in on the bait. And if that's happening in the margins, it's definitely happening in the lakes. So not only are you putting bait on the spot, but you're also ringing the dinner gong, which is bringing in the natural food as well as the carp. So what went into the final formulation of the Royal Marine? Well, as I've already mentioned, it's full of crustacean meals. So we've got shrimp meal in there, we've got krill meal in there, and we've got mussel meal. All of those send out masses of food signals. And when individually tank tested, they certainly ticked all the buttons for the fish. They were straight on it. So they're all in there, those three. Now, one of the things that Mark was very keen to create was a bait that released those attractors up into the water column. So there's some coarse ingredients in the bait too. And both, the two that I'm going to mention are both absolute big fish classics. There's tiger nut meal. Now, I don't need to mention the quality of tiger nuts. They are fantastic, fantastic bait, one of the best out there. There's tiger nut meal in the Royal Marine, and in addition to that, you've also got some really coarse seaweed meal. So those two meals allow water to penetrate the bait and the scent, the smells to get out of the bait and up into the water column to attract the fish. Additionally, you've got a spice profile in there, and lastly, to give it the final real pack of the punch, you've got a little bit of the scent from hell flavour profile. Now, anybody that's used the scent from hell white pop-ups from Baitworks will know that they actually put the hair on the back of your head straight up. The postman complain when Mark sends them out. They absolutely hum, and carp love that smell. And Mark's put a little bit of that in the bait, so it's just got that really, really subtle scent from hell flavour. All in all, it's an absolute belter. Okay, so that's the Royal Marine. The next big question is, when do you use it? Is it a summer bait, a winter bait, or what? Well, the answer to that is very simple. You can use the Royal Marine with great confidence throughout the year. Those attractors that we've talked about are great in the summer, but they're also great in the winter. Because it doesn't contain high levels of saturated fats, there's no fish meals in it, it's a really attractive bait throughout the year. So certainly don't be blinkered into thinking this is just a summer bait. It comes as freezer bait or shelf lives. Now, I'm a great fan of both of these. Out of preference, because I've got a big chest freezer at home and I can store bait, I would tend to go towards freezer bait, but I always have a few bags of the shelf lives in my van and certainly store a few on the shelf at home as well, because that means I've got them if I need them, and you don't have to worry quite so much about the bait turning in high summer when it's really hot. If it's something like last year, the bait goes off quite quick if you get it out of the freezer. So the shelf lives take away from that worry. It's a great bait, comes in all the various formats, dips, stick mixes and everything to go with it. If you've not tried the Royal Marine, I suggest you give it a go. I don't think you'll be disappointed.